Hello, everybody. We are now live and we are now recording. It is Monday, June 12th, and Sherry and I are talking just about how much we both love working with couples. So we decided to go live real quick, and Sherry is going to give us 5 steps to help a couple overcome an affair, like affair recovery. And so I just hate how heartbroken people are. And so if any of you guys paid attention to us going live on Friday, I was talking about heartbroken. And one of the people that I was talking about actually, I probably got a couple of couples that affairs have happened and people are just heartbroken. And so, Sharon, I know you work with a lot of affair couples. And so I love being able to talk with you about different cases and how to help these people. And so it's so good just to have you on staff. First of all, y'all, this is the amazing Sherry Phelps, who is a marriage and family therapist. She's been on staff. She's been with me, 3-4 years now? Like, it's been a minute. And just continually to hone her craft around couples. And so Sherry's specialty is working with high conflict couples and couples who are recovering from affairs with that. So Sherry, I'm going to turn it over to you. And so you tell me, what are the 5 steps that you walk couples through when you're helping them recover from an affair? And is recovery possible? Is it possible to be in love again, to trust your partner again after an affair?
Okay, so I'm gonna address that first, and you threw a trick in because you said,
did.
"Is it recovery or possible? Is it possible for them to trust and love their partner again?" And I want to say is yes.
Okay.
As long as you understand that it's going to take work from 2 people. So sometimes just because you are the person that the affair happened to, don't mean that you just kind of get to sit back and lay back on the hammock and get served lemonade and coconut juice all day while they do all the work and you have nothing to do. So that just brings me to like the first step into recovery.
Before you jump there, I do want to say for a long time, and sometimes I still feel like that's the hardest part of my job, when I got to tell like the victim, I know you're hurt, but you're choosing to stay. So you got some work to do too. Because it's like, but they hurt me. Like, they hurt me. I know they did. But if you're making a choice to stay, like, we're going to heal your wounds, and then you got some work to do too. Like, this is a team. This is a team. And so you gotta have to do some work. And I'm so sorry. And I feel like sometimes we're putting people's healing on a timeline, and I don't like to do that. But with the other side of the coin is that partners are not going to stay in the doghouse forever, especially if there were real challenges to the relationship before the affair happened. With that, it's like, partners will be like, I know I did wrong, but wait. I'm not the only guilty party here because all these other things that were going on. And so sometimes I feel like it's really hard as a therapist to balance, the injured party plus with the at-fault party and be the therapist we need to be to save the relationship in that all with that. So thank you for letting me jump in and say that piece with that, because I don't know this. I just want people to know that we're trying our best to cover like all bases, like, to keep everybody in the boat and moving toward a relationship that's going to work after this. So what are your 5 steps for affair recovery?
Okay, so forgiveness. How do I seek it and how do I grant it? So that's a big step, and a lot of, for the injured party, like you said, the biggest thing is the hurt and the complaints are very easy to make. But when you have to take a step back and say, this is what I need to be able to grant the forgiveness, it becomes hard.
Yeah.
Because then, like you were saying, I mean, this person can't stay in the doghouse until y'all 30th anniversary, right? So this helps keep everybody accountable. So
Yeah.
if you say, I need you to come home at 8 o'clock and sleep with your phone out in the open, and I need a date night once a week. So that means that the person that's seeking the forgiveness understand what you need to feel trusted and loved again. And then it holds that person accountable for making their own progress in the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
So if this person's doing these things, so it's supposed to be helping the healing, right? And then
Right.
if that's not working, those are things that we get into in therapy. So then we can deep dive a little bit and figure out, well, for 6 months now, they've been doing these things off your list, and you're still just as angry as you were the day
Yeah.
before. You know, when
Right.
you first got here 6 months.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
so then that brings the second step. What
Yeah.
about this affair upsets you the most?
Yeah.
So are they seeking a forgiveness you can grant? Because if it's not on the focus of what upset you the most,
Right.
then we might be working in the wrong direction. So maybe it
Right.
wasn't quality time. So if they having a date night once a week, maybe that wasn't the problem. Maybe you just thought that's what would fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's not what affected you the most about the affair.
Mm-hmm. And that could be for so many different reasons. I kind of want to give people an example about that. So it might not be that my partner had sex with somebody else. It could be that my partner spent more money on them than me. Like, wait a
Right.
minute, you took them to Ruth Chris and you took me to McDonald's. Like, where we do that at? And so really sitting down as the victim, as the injured party, and saying, okay, what am I upset about? Why am I upset? And it is work. Like, it is work. And because sometimes I feel like injured parties just want the other person to hurt as much as they hurt, and that's just not possible. You can't make somebody feel the exact same pain you do. So okay, go on. What step are we on?
And so, you know, honesty is a big thing in this. So a lot of people like you, so for to, you know, go elaborate on your example. Hey, why'd you spend this much money on this person and you never spent this much money on me, when it could just simply be, I don't really care about the fact that you slept with her, but it's the fact that or him, it's the fact that when I ask you about it,
right,
you completely made me out to be crazy. Like, you weren't even doing anything. So now,
yeah,
I don't like the fact that I can't trust you, because I always believe that if I caught you or I asked you, you would be like, okay, yeah, let's talk about this. Like, going back to what you said earlier.
Yeah.
Our relationships mess up.
Yeah.
So a lot of people end up feeling cheated. So they feel cheated out of the opportunity to really say, whoa, this is serious for my partner, because they're actually dating another person. So I never knew that this thing that I was doing or not doing was driving them to the point where they needed to seek out a different relationship. So now you cheated me out of opportunity to make it better. While I heard your complaints, because that's what people do a lot, complain.
They do.
I wasn't able to prioritize them in our marriage or our relationship to say, whoa, this is major. This is really a complaint.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. I think it's sad to say, but it's true that we do take our partners for granted, you know, especially when we are pulled in so many different ways. So work, parents, school sometimes, starting a business sometimes, writing a book. One of my colleagues says, because I asked one of my colleagues, like, how do you do all that you do? He was like, oh, when I wrote that book, that almost broke it. He was like, that was my affair partner writing that book. And so in my relationship, I almost didn't make it through that. And so I loved him for being honest. And so, but these are the things that pull us and away from the relationship that we may not realize with that. So great point, Sharon.
So 3 I have, when will both people know that forgiveness is taking place? So this still goes back to the beginning piece, kind of like what you were saying, you know, it takes work from everybody. So you don't want the person seeking forgiveness to just be constantly working and nobody has no idea. Oh, I'm sorry. And nobody knows that forgiveness is actually taking place.
Yeah.
So that's important to say, well, you know, I'm forgiving you because I'm starting to kiss you goodnight again. I'm starting to hug you again. So you want this person to be motivated to continue to work on the things that they did to sort of put the relationship in a compromise. You don't want to still be mad and still not basically giving any signals to say, I'm slowly coming around. I'm slowly trying to trust you again. So being able to think that out, even for yourself and for your partner, this is when you know what you're doing is working. This is when you know we're on the right track. This is what's going to change about me.
Yeah.
And then they'll be happy. And
yeah.
so keep on buying her them roses, because this is going really good for us. She's smiling again. She's not chewing me out. She actually held my hand while we watched the movie. Or it worked both ways.
Right.
And so, you know, those things matter. So 4 is it takes more than an apology. So sometimes people think that once they admit what they did was hurtful and they broke their marital agreement or contract or relationship agreement or contract, that's it. Because you get so many people to say, damn it, I said I was wrong. What more do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So accountability is such a thing to think about, especially what happens after sorry. What really happens after the apology? What does life just go back to normal? Life don't just go back to normal. So understand accountability may be, I'm having a bad day about thinking about this affair, and I just want to call you and vent about it. So how do you practice your accountability in that moment? Instead of going, here we go again. How many times I gotta hear you hurt? How many times I gotta listen to this? That's not accountability. So it's almost like forgiveness is one thing and accountability is a completely different thing. Even seeking forgiveness is a part of the accountability process, but that's not it. So how long? You know, how long do you be accountable for this? When is enough enough? Is it ever a time throughout your whole marriage, if it's 15 minutes later, 15 years later, I mean, if something happens and your partner say, you know what, this just took me back to 15 years ago when you lied to me. What's going to happen in that moment? Are you going to not care? Are you going to be able to say, you know what, I'm sorry that happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so,
and I think teaching the at-fault party how to just hold that space to witness their partner's pain and to just like sit in it. Almost, I want to say, falling on the sword of being able to say, you know, no matter how many times your partner is crying or upset or punching a wall or doing whatever, for you to just be like, yeah, that was wrong of me. I'm sorry. Not try to defend, not try to justify, just, yeah, that was wrong of me. I'm sorry. I should have been man enough. I should have been woman enough to say, hey, this relationship ain't working and I want to go do something else like I should have been. And that's it. That's it. Regardless of what else is going on, just being able to do that. And you're going to have to do that repeatedly.
So Natalie, in my experience, that's what takes the recovery and repair process the longest. The way the partner's willing to be accountable. So you're going to really make me crazy because I'm still hurt 3 months later.
Right.
You're going to really tell me I need to be over this whole situation that I didn't even know about because it's 6 months.
Right.
And so it just knocked them back. So why it knocks them back might be different for different people.
True.
So that's why we go through all of these steps. What does accountability look like? What does forgiveness look like? So if the partner can't use their 5 senses, it ain't being communicated. And that's just my motto.
Right.
If they can't close their eyes and see it, you're not communicating it.
Okay, cool. I hadn't heard that one before. While we're talking about that, I don't know if one of your points is transparency, but you're going to have to be transparent. Like, we're going to have to now increase the level of transparency in the relationship. So before there was a betrayal, I didn't care where you was or where you went. Now that I know that trust I put you was misplaced, now I need transparency. I need to see your location now. And I get it. You can somebody can know your location and you can still be cheating. Your location can say the church house and you can be in the choir room getting it down with the whole choir. So just make y'all laugh. But and so that doesn't really mean anything. But if your partner is saying, this is what I need a level of transparency that we haven't had before, you're gonna have to do it to heal this relationship. You're gonna have to do it. Like it's really gotta be here it all is, kind of like a humbleness, like with that. So okay, what's your next step, Sherry?
So my last step is, do both people understand what the baseline level of functioning was in their marriage or relationship? When were you happy in the marriage?
Okay.
Is that what you're trying to get back to? And sometimes it's no going back to that. You have to recreate and think of your marriage differently now.
Yeah.
And that might be kind of why the affair sort of happened in the first place, because there was not enough development going on with the changes of life and the changes of stages, and y'all weren't quite growing together. So sometimes you have to either rediscover your baseline level of functioning or understand what it was before all of this happened.
Yeah, definitely so. And I get kind of what you said. I think I'm just going to articulate it a little bit differently. If the relationship was not working before, then y'all are going to have to create a new definition, a new dream, a new reality of what the relationship needs to be now with that. And you, both of y'all gonna have to be willing to do that work. And so sometimes we work with partners who are not saying what they really need, or what they really want, what they really like sexually, because y'all know we're sex therapists, we specialize in that. And so it's like, oh, okay, so let me give you an example. All right, so you like rope play or training sex or all of these like different things, but you never told your partner. And so that's why you cheated, because you needed this sexual outlet, but you never told your partner. Like, y'all gonna have to speak up and say, and I understand if your partner's like, no, I'm not doing all of that. Then y'all got to have a conversation of, okay, can I live without this? And what am I willing to do for this relationship? I really would prefer y'all had that before y'all get married. It's okay. We can have it now, but it's got to be out there and figured out. And then at least your partner's left with choices. And we know there's been a conversation. Like, so much could be prevented if we at least had a conversation and knew that was even an issue or a deal that was coming up, But when I think I'm living in bliss and I have no idea you're unhappy and you're upset, or your needs aren't getting met, that really leaves me, I think it leaves the relationship vulnerable, and it's setting me up for future hurt. And so y'all got to talk. Okay. All right. Sharon, review all 5 of yours again, please. All 5 steps. Just I want to make sure people are running, have them nice and cohesive.
Okay. Seeking and granting forgiveness. What about the affair upsets you the most? That's 2. 3, what will help both people know that forgiveness is taking place? 4 is, it takes more than an apology. That's the accountability part. And 5 is, do both people understand? I said baseline functioning, and Natalie's saying the same thing by saying, what was the relationship like before all of this happened?
Yeah.
And how did you define it then? And how will you sort of define it in the future?
That's really good. All right. Why do you like working with affair couples so much?
Okay, so I think because affairs happen for different reasons. And just from getting to know a lot of different people and talking to a lot of different couples, it's not always because you don't love the person that you're with.
Right.
Sometimes they're not the same. They're just not. Some people they're not on the same continuum. One don't equal the other. And even to bring up what you said, Natalie, sometimes people have kinks and different things that they may be embarrassed to even share with their partner. And sometimes it's just, I love you, I like you, but we just not growing in the same direction. And I don't really want to leave you either. I'm just hoping it's going to get better, but I need some support right now. And this is just what I'm choosing to do, because all affairs don't equal sex either.
That's very, very true. That's very, very true. And I think in general, okay, this is my whole spiel. I'm gonna try to keep this short because I got a 2:00. All right, is affairs are a fantasy world, right? And so a fair relationship most of the time never has to deal with the reality of life. In an affair relationship, y'all usually not talking about who gonna pay the power bill because it's $800 this month because of la la la. We're not dealing with I'm mad because you didn't flush the toilet. I'm not dealing with your mama still disrespecting me. Affair relationships never have to deal with that. Like they happen kind of in a bubble. We meet on Tuesday at 2. We only talk to each other at work about work stuff. And so I just want people to remember for those 5 people out there right now who's trying to take their affair relationship into reality. A lot of affair relationships actually don't last in reality with that. And just really remember, like, it's a fantasy world. It's a fantasy world. And I understand how good that fantasy world feels, but it's not reality with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just almost like an anxiety reducer.
Mm-hmm.
Just as if it's depending on the relationship, it's either unhealthy behavior or not an unhealthy behavior. So it's only unhealthy if like 2 people like, hell no, we're not gonna sleep with nobody else but each other.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so that's what makes it wrong, because you had an agreement not to do that.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And let me say, because there's some affair partners out there who might say this video, and the at fault party, the one who's having an affair. I know, and Sherry know, we know that some of y'all having the affair actually helps you stay in your relationship. And that's kind of the shadow side of affairs that people don't talk about, is because this affair made me feel good again about myself. This affair made me realize some things. This affair made me feel alive. This affair was an anxiety, reducer that I was able to come back into our life and do everything that we did. And so we do know that. We do know that. It can get complicated and dynamic.
And 2 people can be hurt by the affair.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the person who went at fault person.
Yeah.
Once it all comes to a head, in retrospect, can start to feel really horrible about the affair. And guilty and can't believe that they did such a thing.
Right.
Don't even understand how they got there in the first place. And they just don't even know how to wrap their mind around it. And
that is true.
And then the person that it happened to looking like,
how did this happen? And they like, I don't know.
No, because like, how the hell you hurt? So it gets confusing for them. Like,
it is.
That you did this,
especially if you're a person who never thought you would do anything like that, and it's so funny because I think we all think that we're better people than we are, and we all, I think, overestimate our character throughout the lifespan. Like we like, oh yeah, I keep it 100. I keep it 100. How about that? And all of those things until life gets really, really stressful. Until then you find like, oh my God, this outlet is making me feel good. I just want to feel a little bit better, and then a little bit better, and then a little bit better, And so, I mean, it's like the person who never think they're going to gain weight. And then they realize when they work at 80 hours a week, the food is the one thing that makes them feel better. But when you work at 80 hours a week, life can get really complicated. And we understand that. And so if your life has gotten complicated to the point where you have gotten in an affair and you're out and y'all are trying to recover the relationship, Sharian is here to help you. Sharian is here to help you. And so there will be a 1-800 number on the screen. If not, look up atlantasextherapy.com, atlantasextherapy.com, and call the 800 number, and y'all can make an appointment with Sharian, and Sharian will help you through this very hard time in your life. But there is hope. People recover from affairs all the time, like all the time. And I'm gonna say at least half of them, I feel, not that they're thankful that the affair happened, but they are appreciative that they finally did the work they needed to do in their marriage with that, kind of like your pipe busting, but then you realizing, oh my God, the whole bottom floor was rotten anyway. And so I ain't happy to pipe bust, but if it helped us create a better foundation, a marriage that's now truly going to take us for the next 70, 80 years, okay, I can be okay that it happened with that. So we call that a gift in dirty wrapping paper when we really do what we need to do. Any last words, Sharon?
Well, if two people really want it to work, I believe it'll work.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very true. Okay, great. All right, people, y'all have